Well, hello everyone. I finally got things working. Welcome to Hash Church 59, episode 59 here in Negril, Jamaica. It's a beautiful day. I've got a quiet internet, or a slow internet, sorry. I've got my son sleeping in the other room, so I'm mixing up the words quiet with slow. Welcome, Mr. Scialdone. How are you doing this morning? Yes, there's a smile. I can't hear you, but I can see you. My internet is mad slow today. We'll see what kind it's going to let us have. You're good, Horatio. There's Todd in the house. You're good. Just went live. All right. Well, I hope everyone can hear me. I'm not too sure if it's working or not. But I'll just leave this door closed. Doing Hash Church from the family house today. It's quite loud. How are you doing, Todd? You're also muted.
I'm not muted now. I'm cool. Everybody was patiently waiting in the chat for you, sir.
Dude, I've been literally going for 1 hour and 20 minutes trying to just get enough internet. I did a church yesterday and it worked fine. But man, I'll tell you.
Hey, Mark. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. Why don't you guys have a quick talk? I'm going to go get my baby here.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
All right. Hey, Todd.
We're obviously not in Jamaica.
No, we're not in Jamaica.
So, how's life at home, Mark?
Oh, life is well. Life is well. We got no complaints.
I'm taking morning coffee myself, bro.
Same.
Turns out our internet works just fine for some reason.
So where's Etienne? He's usually the first in, isn't he?
He's in bed right now. I think he had little faith in the internet connection of Jamaica.
I hear that, dude. Let's have a bowl while I'm still here.
Let's have a... Okay. Well, then, it is what it is, guys.
Well, we somehow got close to 400 viewers in a very short time. Horatio's in the house. Welcome, Horatio.
Morning.
Morning.
I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to send out the links today. I sent it to Horatio mainly so I could send out the links through my email. I'm on 2 different laptops, and my email is on this laptop over here, so I had to get the Hash Church link over there, and Messenger wouldn't work, Skype wouldn't work. I just couldn't get it. I literally had to type it out by hand. The big, long Hash Church. Fuck. So we do what we got to do here in Jamaica. It's well, it is a beautiful day here for those of you that want to check out the Caribbean.
Wow.
What's the temperature?
It's probably like 85 to 90 degrees, I think, would be the Fahrenheit. Like, my feet are very burning on the wood floor there, so I'm going to go with like 85 to 90 based on the foot burnage I just occurred there. But yeah, beautiful front little area here. My son's been diving daily with sea turtles, which are apparently quite rare in these parts, but there's some that live out in front here. We've seen dolphins almost every day, and the reef was surprisingly alive. When I went to the reef a couple of days ago, I was really impressed. I mean, I found parts where there were literally, I would say, thousands of fish, like not just hundreds, but thousands. Like there was like 200 on this little area, and all the little living anemones and all those little pieces that come out and in of the coral. It was pretty cool. Obviously, I had a whole 30 seconds on my GoPro, so I used that. Does anyone else have this problem with GoPros that whenever you want to use them, they're fucking dead? Is this just me? Am I the only one? I see people smiling. They've experienced it.
Every camera's dead when I want to use it. That's the only state they're in. One picture and a dead battery.
I'm just lucky they put a camera inside my phone, right? Now I have a camera.
Yeah, true enough. They changed the game with that one. So the vibe in Jamaica is that we're hoping on getting the people from Stepping High Festival. Of course, just like any cannabis anything, there's always going to be this division, right? Because some people think they can do it better than other people, and we can't always all work together. So there is this little bit of a split here. The Rastafari Roots Festival, which is hosting the Cannabis Cup with High Times, is quite different from the High Tall Stepping High Festival folks, and so I went and met with them the other day, and they were kind of, they were happy. They were glad that the cup was coming here and stuff. But it does seem that wherever an event happens, I've noticed this because I used to go to the events in Germany and I used to go to the events in Switzerland, and so those were Canna Business and Canna Trade, and both of those events were started by guys that broke their relationship up and then continued both to do the big events during the same kind of period within like a 1 month period. So instead of getting this one big event, you would kind of get this split event because obviously vendors and people flying from all over the world can only generally afford maybe one big expo per month. But I see it happening a little bit here. I'm hoping that they can get their sort of division out of the way and the Roots Rastafaria can work with the Stepping High Festival. But the Stepping High Festival, as it is a separate entity. It's an event that happens in March here, and it's the event that Tony and I judged last year here in March. Or was it this year? I guess it was this year. Jeez. The years, sometimes they go fast, sometimes they go slow. Welcome, D420K in the house. I guess that means it's time for
a bong rip. Bong motherfucking rip.
I'll hit some rips to that. So yesterday I was blazing out some Rasta dude at the Blue Hole, and at first he was afraid to hit my rosin, but then he kind of gained some confidence, and man, by the end of it he was like, give me another, give me another, give me another. So I finally just had to destroy him with like a huge one, and he coughed and his whole head just exploded, and he was kind of like over on the fence grabbing the fence post, and I was like, don't worry, he's not going to ask for any more now. And so I kind of had to bite my tongue because, man, if it wasn't 15 to 20 minutes later as I was packing up to leave, he came over to me with a little straw. And I'm like, what's that? He's like, for a lick a piece. I'm like, a lick a piece? What are you talking about, man? This is share stuff, not give stuff. So I kind of had to give him the etiquette on don't ask for super heady things. Super heady things either are given or they are not given, but never asked for.
Shared.
Maybe
or not.
shared. Well, we just shared, man. I just smoked like probably a gram with the guy before. I got him so lit, but he couldn't smoke anymore. And I was kind of like, yeah, I put that guy down. But then he came back right away and was like, I just want to get some for later.
Some for Ron. Later on.
What's that?
Some for Ron. Later on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Next thing you know, you'll find him at the store getting a hair straightener and a box of parchment paper.
Show him that, and he'll be doing it for sure.
Absolutely. You got to enable the kids, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be doing that for sure. The wonderful thing about Jamaica is there's no shortage of flat irons. Jamaican women straighten their hair. Every Jamaican woman has curly hair. There's a lot of fucking straight irons, flat irons on the island. So I've been telling people like crazy. I have yet to do a demo. I'll probably do a demo on the 11th with that Stepping High group just down the road at the Hummingbird Hotel there.
Oh, just use the hot plank of your deck and the foot of your chair and just press it right in front of them, right there where you're sitting.
Dude, I'm gonna be using I got the D-nail press.
There you go.
You brought the
What's that?
D-nail press with you? You must have had a great time coming through customs. And what's this?
No,
sir?
no. All that was shipped. My customs experience was like, he was surprised at how many stamps I had on my passport from Amsterdam and Jamaica. But other than that, it was a very, coming into Jamaica is awesome, dude. They're not, I mean, it's really not the same as going out of Jamaica, particularly over the last 20 to 30 years, because they very much have a zero tolerance to any type of drug smuggling. And that's not because they don't want you making profit off of herb. It's because it embarrasses them in the international audience of countries. So they are seriously like, don't fucking bring hash or anything that's weed related out of Jamaica. It's but bringing in pipes and presses and I mean shit, they're more interested in finding out what it's for than anything. I had a customs guy one time ask me for a set of bags because I told him they're for filtering things out of water so we can clean up the water, and he was like, oh, I need one of those. And I was like, damn, dude, this guy's working for customs. He needs a set of bubble bags.
You're not lying when you
I
say
love
that. You're not telling a fib. That's absolutely what they're used for.
it. Exactly.
You would pass a
It's,
light.
back in the I could. You're right. 100%. It's, I hope that Shadrock comes by, my buddy's son who cooks vegan food here on the island. He's grown up as a vegan chef with his father, Ras Rodi, who I, of course, showed how to make bubble hash about 15 years ago. And when I finally walked up to his little hut here on the cliffs a couple of days ago, I walked up and I thought it was Ras, but he's actually gone, and it was his son. And he looked at me and he says, "If it don't bubble, it ain't worth the trouble." And I was like, what? He's like, "Yes, man, I know who you are. You showed my daddy how to make hash like 15 years ago." I was like, holy shit. That was a super trip. So I'm hoping that he's going to come up in a little bit and share some of his time with us, talking about what it's like to, live that Rasta lifestyle, that vegan chef, in an area where everyone wants burgers and fries, milkshakes and booze. We really owe it to ourselves here to take Negril back as a world cannabis tourist place, and to get rid of all these cheesy alcohol boozy bars where people just sit and chain smoke cigarettes and drink booze. It's just so not the vibe that, in my opinion, part of the magic of Jamaica. Error, terrible, I don't even know what to call it, like a mishap that's just gone on for too long. But Negril was originally started by hippies in the 60s, and they came here and they loved just hanging out in hammocks and playing music and smoking the herb. And, that grew in through the 70s. A lot of people made money through the herb business in Jamaica, through the export business. A lot of expats from America and Canada were responsible for smuggling plenty of Jamaican herb all over the planet, really. And, towards the 80s, Nancy Reagan, it died off, and all these terrible sort of poisons that got unleashed on the islands, that ended up getting put on a lot of the plants. It just sort of went downhill, and I'd love to see it turn around. I'd love to see. Jamaica's an amazing place. The people are incredible. They're friendly. They talk to everyone. They got a great culture of music and food and the vibes of reasoning. Even the reasonings, it's like, let's sit down and have a reasoning. Let's just chat it out. I think it's wonderful, and the people definitely deserve to make some herb on a world level with this project. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for
What's
them.
the legality right now there? Like, if you get caught growing pot, what goes down in Jamaica?
No, it's quite changed now, in the sense that, say you had a field, okay, and you're not supposed to have a field, and maybe you're outspoken and they've already popped you a few times or whatever, and they know you're making money with it or whatever. They would just burn it down. You know what I mean? Like, they would just go there and burn it down. Now, everyone in Jamaica is now allowed to grow 6 plants. So that's just like 6 plants, and you're allowed to have 2 ounces. So anywhere you walk around, anywhere in your car, you can roll around. So this is a big deal for the herb people still, just like what you were trying to explain to Donnie, and I'll explain it perfectly, because you're telling him, dude, let's just get the foot in the door. If patients can get pot, who the fuck cares for now? Who's making the money about it? Let's get out of prohibition. So how that changed here is that you can have a couple pounds under your seat now, and have an ounce or 2 on your seat, and your car's going to smell like herb. So they're no longer pulling people over and searching for herb, because everyone has herb. And how I really noticed the change, and if you can imagine this, Horatio, there's even more prevalence of people smoking. Like, I go to a fancy hotel, and the guard is sitting there rolling up a spliff. That would have been unheard of like 5 years ago, I can guarantee you. At a fancy hotel, bro, I'm walking up to the gate, and he's just sitting there. He kind of put it aside, and I said, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" He said, oh, it's just my medicine. I'm like, exactly, man, so be proud. Don't you fucking hide that under the counter. I'm super pro your medicine. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he's telling me, he's like, it helps me concentrate. I couldn't work a whole day without it. It just helps me get through. And I was like, exactly, dude. Like, I support that. We don't have to hide it anymore. And so that's a big deal for Jamaica. Obviously, a long way to go, but foot in the door, definitely. And worse or as bad as Ohio for its past policies, absolutely. No one was ever allowed to have a fucking plant. There's never been any initiative.
Policy. Nobody's allowed to have a plant currently. And I want to say this, it's not that I'm like, hey, don't worry about the people making money. I say the worry about the people making money is the cops, the justice system, and the fucking private prisons. That's the monopoly.
That is the monopoly.
Everybody wants to know that I fucking lose sleep and freak out over at night. It's that little trifecta of money grabbers. It's
the one that put you in prison.
It's the ideology we've got to change. People are like, I can't believe you support monopolies. Guys, I don't support the justice system locking us up for flowers. I don't support private prisons making literally CCA $1.7 billion a year. I can't fucking wrap my brains around how that is okay, but no.
Hey,
Don't throw a little bit of weed.
Skunkman Sam said it perfectly in that thread on Facebook. He said, oh, maybe you would prefer the monopoly that is prohibition, because prohibition is a monopoly that is there for those who are willing to break the law and do the time. That's their monopoly. Well, everyone else stayed out of it.
This week, last week, Stephen Colbert had the governor of Ohio on, and he asked him two things, point blank. Have you ever smoked marijuana? He said yes. He goes, okay, great. Did you get caught smoking marijuana? And the guy tried to be cute. By who? He goes, the cops. Because had you been caught by the cops, would you be governor now? And he tried to say something cute like, well, maybe if you had campaigned for me. But the answer was no. You wouldn't have been governor. Your life would have been delegated to fucked up situations because that's what you went through. It would have been, there's no fucking way he would have got busted smoking weed, gotten a record, and then gone on to become governor. And that's the hypocrisy. He thinks he's okay for smoking weed. He thinks it's a cool childhood discretion. Oh, hey, I got fucking away with it. No, asshole. You're locking up our kids. You're taking away our kids' ability to go become the governor of Ohio because of your fucked up laws. That's what pisses me off.
I'm with you, dude. I mean, I'm not allowed to go to America and visit all my awesome friends down there and see all the beauty of the U.S. It's a huge, awesome country that I'd love to visit. I live right on the border. I should be able to go down to Cali and Oregon and head over to fucking the East Coast. I can't do that because I got caught with cannabis and got a felony charge. So for the last 15 years or more, I haven't been able to go to the U.S. That's bullshit.
Man, you're never going to be able to become mayor governor with that fucking shit going on.
And I'm never going to be able to become the governor of California, so that really sucks too, because that was like I had aspirations. I mean, if Arnold Schwarzenegger can be born in Austria, I can be born in Winnipeg and come be the governor of California.
Fuck yeah.
You didn't marry a Kennedy. That helps.
I know. Fuck, that really, you know what? That is a truth of truths right there. If ever there has been a truth here on Hash Church, that is a truth.
About time I said something useful.
Fuck, dude, come on, what are you doing, man?
What we've been talking about, the discrimination of the pot smoking and everybody that looks down on it, that's stuck in the age that it's bad and wrong. I live right in the middle of that stuff. We're all rednecks up here. A lot of people and a lot of old people just look down on it. Like, it's once the stigma of weed smoking is lifted and not looked at as a fucking bunch of fucking potheads sitting around playing video games doing fuck all with their lives is gone, it's going to be a better place. And that's probably not going to be seen until my grandchildren are old enough to see that as well. Like, we've got a long way to go, but that's the biggest thing for me in my whole world, my life, is the weed bubble is somehow a bad thing. When we're all legal, we're doing what we're doing to medicate ourselves.
Yeah.
We've used the system to medicate ourselves properly, to supply ourselves properly, to not have to spend the money on painkillers and everything. I took painkillers in September for 2 weeks because of my back was so fucked up. And when I off of those the 3 days, 2 days I couldn't sleep. I was sweating. Like, when I did sleep, I woke up in a puddle of sweat. My blankets were soaked, my pillow. I went through major withdrawals for 2 days, over 2 weeks of taking 30 milligrams of Oxycontin a day, one 15 milligram pill in the morning and one at night. And that fucking, and I take a toke of the clear with a little terp dip, a little mix, because I got a variety of it. I can do that because I've made it that way, and I can buy my medication that way legally, properly. And I have a token. It just blankets me. It takes the pain away, the pinched nerve to the pain to the tricep away. The whole fucking works. And yet, I'm a fucking pothead. Fuck you, world. I'm not just a pothead. I fucking smoke, world. I smoke weed, so I'm a little upset right now about it. Sorry. I smoke weed. I'm proud of it. I always have. I used to do it because I liked it. Now I do it because I medicate for it. I have since I broke my back. The year after I broke my neck, I've dislocated my arms, my legs. I've got steel both sides of my face, and I'm not a fucking pill junkie. I smoke weed, and I live a normal fucking productive life. Good for me, and good for everybody else that's doing it. That's my rant. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, dude.
A little worked up.
You lived it. You lived it.
Living it. You bet.
Fucking rights, bro. Well, we know we love the plant. There's no doubt about that. And I'll tell you, it's like here in Jamaica, it's really like it has this ability to just do so much more than like the classic thing that I see people getting caught up in, which is like winning contests and like entering into cups and stuff. And I just think like this is a plant that will go back to the roots of actually just putting food on people's tables and potentially building walls around their roofs and putting shoes on their children's feet. And so these are, in my opinion, like higher up the importance ladder of,
Can I say this, man? What if prohibition was really an attack on our financial independence? Like going back to hemp, like taking cannabis into the bigger perspective. It's not just being something you twist up, roll, and feel good about, but something that you turn into your clothes, or you turn into your drapes, or you turn into, necessities that you need. Now, by controlling hemp and taking it away from the farmers, didn't it create a bit of an import economy for us? So if you wanted anything, you had to buy it. You couldn't grow it because look, what we used to go west, the canvas-covered wagons, all that was canvas grown in America as they went west. I mean, this is where they got the canvas. Now the canvas plants are illegal. It's almost silly, but we wouldn't have been allowed to have canvas-covered wagons going west under prohibition. We would have all died in the sun, because there's no cotton back then. So I think it's an attack on our financial sovereignty. I really, really do.
I mean, you know what, Todd? You're 100% right. It is an attack on our financial sovereignty, but it's also an attack on the sovereignty of our health, of our personal health. It's an attack on our freedom. It's like it's like literally the way cannabis is this multi-dimensional plant that does all these incredible, like, oh, you have the industrial over here, and then there's recreational, but they also have medical, and now there's preventative, and it's got so many different facets that when you go and you make it illegal, those same facets are what you've cut us off from. You've cut us off from not just this or this and this, but literally the whole gamut. It's like a glove. 5 different amazing things that you lose when you lose the ability to be able to freely choose to grow or use cannabis. It's I've noticed it so license in Canada, and I always give it up to Johnny B, because holy shit, like, did that guy ever make it happen? I've been trying to get a license for years prior to that, and fucking Berfelo was just like, we'll get you a license. I mean, holy fuck, dude, how many bones have you broken? I'm like, well, I broke 16, but the last one was my collarbone, and I fucked it up really good, and it was causing me pain. So he was just like, basically held my hand, walked me to the doctor, had all this information for the doctor, all these little products and things, and educational sample packs for the doctor, and the doctor was a pain specialist, and he was like, you could tell he was happy to prescribe cannabis over OxyContin. I mean, what fucking doctor in their right mind wouldn't, when you take away the fact that they're getting trips to Hawaii purchased, and they're getting, blowjobs on the beach or whatever, and fucking other free shit from those companies. When you take all that away, they can't not see that those are hard on society, and that those, you create pill pop and drug addicts when you give those to people, and when you give those to kids, I'm sure that we'll find out in the next 20 or 30 years how bad that is and how much it changes their development. Hey, welcome, Tony.
How's it going, Bubbleman, and everybody else on the panel and in Hatch Church?
You look like you have a coat on and you're somewhere cold.
Yeah, I'm back in Denver for a little pit stop before I come see you.
Oh shit! And is it freezing or something?
Yeah, it's like, 50, 40 degrees here.
All right, yeah, that's like 80 degrees difference from here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming out there. Actually, it's been a long grind since the last time I was out there. I think I worked literally every day since I was there last year. Maybe a few days
Yeah,
off.
and for those of you that don't really understand, like you always kind of work like that, but working at Harborside and sitting at the desk and dealing with patients, that takes way more out of you than when you're moving around the way we did in Jamaica or the way you might do when you're trying to acquire licenses and dealing with bureaucrats. It's quite a different busy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely more satisfying busy. I'm kind of like literally over all of that. When people are like, hey, I want to talk to you about this or that, really if it's not about the prana, or if it's not about medicine or helping somebody or trying to deal into that, or terpenes is kind of like not in my inner circle anymore. It's about bandwidth and energy, so I'd rather put it towards people and the medicine at this point.
Yeah, man.
The politics and all the license stuff, it's just, as anyone knows that's in our industry, it changes. It used to change every 3 months. I'd say it changes every month now.
I swear it's another way that it's like a filter system, and they're filtering out good people. They're just getting rid of them by continuing this cycle of changing and making the bureaucracy even heavier and writing new policies and writing new. It's just like, really? Like you're just going to try and 160 me right out of the 90? Is that what's going on here?
Yep. But it's nothing like people that haven't been around for a while aren't used to. So anymore, that's what I just take it in stride, man. And it's all positive influence on creating new layers or levels in what you're doing. If you were a hash maker and somebody got to you, or you weren't able to do something, you're just going to push yourself to be better and find new ways. And sometimes you invent things out of necessity. So I thank all of the roadblocks and all of the hard times before me for those reasons. It just makes you adapt and think stronger, and it gives you a lot more experience. So when something comes at you again, you're like, okay, I've seen that before. I don't know if I'm going to dive in. But I am looking forward to Jamaica. I'm looking forward to just actually sharing everything with people, and that's really what it's always been about there. So I think everyone needs to know that. It's like, go there, you're on the island. Oh, phone died.
Oh, phone died. Weird. I heard him say
Yeah.
phone died before his phone died. That was kind of trippy. Anyway, hopefully Rasa's son Doc comes by here. I'd love to hear from some of the local folks. I will be doing one more hash church while I'm here, and that one Cannabis Cup, so I'll make sure that we get a whole crowd of all the different characters that you see. It's going to be super trippy, Todd, seeing all these people that we normally see in big jackets and like all like dressed up here in Jamaica with like, in a t-shirt and a pair and shorts and sandals or whatnot. It's definitely going to be
When does the crowd arrive from High Times? When does the festivity start? Is it next weekend?
yeah, I'd say from now till it starts on the 12th. And so what is it today? The 8th?
Yes, sir.
Wednesday or Thursday that it starts?
Someone wrote in chat, cannabis is an essential vitamin. I think it's completely true, too. I think we're going to get to the point where we realize that we were fucking our bodies up because we were literally prohibiting the cannabinoids from being in them. Might seem like a stretch, but I really think that's going to be the contemplation of future medicine when they're looking back at the end of the 20th century. Boy, did this society fuck up.
I don't know. What if they found where all the survivors of all this shit that's going on with people? Like, I don't really pay attention to the amount of things food does to people, but I do probably know that without cannabis, a lot of things would do much worse on our bodies. Even if it's just tasting it and rejecting it, or being able to survive some toxin that naturally comes with it. No, we may be a generation that lives 10 years longer than everyone else, but it won't be till the end that we find out.
We'll be pretty blissful in the end when we figure it out too, right?
Well, we've been fortifying our bodies with fat-soluble antioxidants, which, like it or not, protect our bodies from damaging free radicals that cause mutations in DNA and proteins that leads to cancer. So whether you like it or not, any use of, like Dr. David Allen said, any use of cannabis is medical because you're getting antioxidants into tissue and organs that I don't think normally get them in the diet.
Well, you know, and also we got to really think about the fact that cannabis is two magical oils. It's cannabinoids, it's the oil that we're talking about, hash, but it's also the hemp seed oil because that is nature's most perfectly balanced oil. And people, especially I tell all my friends, hey, start consuming it. You know, drink it, put it on your skin, eat it, hemp nut, put it on your food. You don't have to change your diet to fortify your diet. People could go out and buy dehulled hemp seed and just start putting like an ounce on whatever they eat, like it's salt and pepper, and it will spike the nutrition of whatever it is they're eating, and they'll get more EFAs, they'll get a better balance of their vitamins, their minerals, their proteins. It will really, really help them. I mean, I think a lot of us are just malnourished because of the convenience of food, and a lot of the food basically are empty calories. And people have to understand, you know, that all calories are not created the same. Some calories are super rich in nutrients, like the calories that come out of hemp seed oil, and other calories, you know, French fries, for instance, not so nutriently rich. And there's a massive difference between the two.
Well, you know, you see all those foods that seem to take more energy to digest than they give you. I look at that stuff and I'm like, this isn't food. This is I feel like some type of gruel converter, but it's not life energy, because then there's other food that you feel stronger the more you eat versus more tired.
Yeah, when hemp does become grown for its protein, it will replace soybean. There is no question about it that hemp has a higher yield of more healthier protein, and when things become commoditized, you look beyond, especially when it's no longer Schedule 1. Farmers are going to look beyond the history and understand that the highest return on their land is going to be growing this protein, which a lot of it ends up going into feed for other animals, so for pigs and cows and whatnot. But there is no question about it, hemp seed protein will someday displace soybean as being the row crop of choice for making protein for all kinds of processed foods and feeds. No question about it. It's just a matter of time.
I totally agree with you. It'll be a staple source.
And that really, Todd, the seed oil and the seed protein is by far the economic driver that's going to create widespread acreage of hemp in the next 10 years. That is then going to create the feedstock essentially to start looking at the other applications around fiber and pulp. The reason why paper today is made from trees is because they mow down these trees, they mow down these pine forests, and what they do is they mill it into lumber, and then they take the sawdust off the floor and they turn it into paper, and that requires a whole lot of chemicals. Because trees have to grow up so high and hemp doesn't have to grow up as high, there's a whole lot more lignin, which is sort of like the sticky component in wood, and so there's roughly about 10 times the amount of lignin in wood compared to hemp. So just on a stoichiometric basis, it takes 10 times the amount of chemicals to remove all of that lignin. So now you understand why the powers to be, the chemical companies and the lumber companies and the paper companies, wherever you have a sawmill, I'll bet right next to it there's a paper mill. You'd see them like a brother and sister right next to each other in these towns throughout the Northwest United States, where essentially they mow down the trees, turn the sawdust into paper. When the economic driver, which is going to be protein and seed oil, basically puts more hemp on the planet, there's now going to be a supply that's going to now rival the cheapness of sawdust off the floor of the sawmill. So that's going to all start to happen when the economic driver primarily for feeding the planet is getting hemp out to, you know, much more acreage than it is farmed today industrially.
Isn't that crazy? It goes right to them.
Not only that. Go ahead, Horatio.
I was just gonna say, like, did you see how, like, you basically said the plant is 10 times more able to be retted? You could ret it in water, versus an industry that's like, no, let's take this tree and we'll create a bunch of jobs for ourselves by breaking it apart. It goes right to Todd saying this is an attack on financial independence, right down to being able to make your own fucking belt.
And Horatio, if you've ever driven through a paper mill town in like Wisconsin, or if you've ever been like through paper mill towns throughout the Northwest, it smells like rotten eggs, right? You ever smell that? It smells like rotten eggs, right? That's because there's a sulfide process that uses sulfur, which is very nasty chemicals, to basically attack the lignin and remove the lignin to remove it from the cellulose, which is what paper is, right? So you're trying to remove the lignin from the cellulose. And because hemp doesn't grow up as tall as trees, it has a whole lot less. So it makes a whole lot more sense. And think about it, from the same acreage of hemp, the way that the Hemp for Victory manual, which was published in the 40s, says, is you get 4 times the amount of usable fiber from an acre of hemp versus an acre of wood. So let's
technically that was not hemp.
Okay, I know those are old numbers, but wait a second.
No. I want to just correct where you're getting your numbers from. It's actually from literally 1916. It's Bulletin 404. And the exact quote is even more powerful. It's 1 acre of hemp is equal to 4 acres of 20-year-old Douglas fir trees for the same amount of paper. And that 1 acre of hemp is grown annually in less than a year. So they're comparing something that grows one year against waiting 20 years for the trees to harvest.
The piece of that analysis that's flawed, Todd, is they're not accounting for the lumber that you're getting out, which you're not getting from the hemp. But forget about the lumber for a second.
Mark, hold on. The lumber is the wood. The cellulose is what they turn into paper. You don't get lumber.
But most of that material is waste product off the sawmill floor. But forget about the lumber for a second. If you just do that calculation, it takes about 20 to 25 years for those trees to grow up, and it takes 10 times the amount of chemicals. So 4 times 25 times 10, there's like a 1,000-fold advantage to making paper and pulp from hemp over wood.
And there's always that growing in between.
It's better for the planet, but then the chemical companies don't make all the money by selling all those chemicals to the paper companies, right? So, yeah. Follow the money. It stinks.
Keep in mind as well, you harvest the hemp 20 times in that 20 years. It's not one harvest. One harvest of 1 acre would not compare to 20-year-old trees. It's 20 harvests of hemp in the same period of time of the 4 acres. That's why you get so much more, because hemp
it's not, Mark. Can I back you up?
It absolutely, you can back me up 100%.
Just think about it. 404. We highlighted it in Jack's book. That's how I know this stupid shit. I mean, Jack drilled it into my fucking
read the book front to back as well. I'm just saying that 1 acre of hemp, because I've actually grown hemp. We've actually grown fields of hemp, unlike many of the people that are in this panel right now. And I can tell you, you're not going to get more fiber in 1 acre than in 20-year-old trees. But if you grow that field 20 times in that 20-year period, you will get way more fiber than those 20-year-old trees. At least that's a fact for Manitoba, where I grew up. It could be different in maybe another part of the world.
It only gets better when it gets warmer. That's kind of what I was saying. I'm like, in the tropics, you would get 2 crops a year, up to 3. Exactly. It's a major thing. Never mind the remediation to the soil.
And the thing is, whenever you look at any of these products, like even if you look at paper or even if you think about cotton, especially with cotton, because cotton requires a huge fertilizer and pesticide load. You have to calculate all of the petrochemical energy that went in to fixing that nitrogen and to making those fertilizers and to making those supplements for the soil. When you take all of that out, you're now basically, I mean, that's a huge industry right there. That's a billion dollar industry that's in the market of making chemicals so people can, wear clothing, have paper, and eat food. I mean, it's huge.
I can't believe how slow it's gone in Manitoba, in Canada. I hope that now that America's jumped on the bandwagon and they're starting to grow hemp, I really hope there's not this other 20-year lull of things. Like I would love to see an infrastructure. I love that Noel Van Schaik is doing hemp plastics right now. I know that they're just little tubes for joints and stuff and maybe little containers, but I definitely tip my hat to him because, well, the world needs more hemp plastic.
So okay, so how is he making hemp into plastic? I mean, this is like might be a little marketing. Like, is it really a hemp-derived plastic? Plastic itself, by definition, is a polymer that's made from some oil-derived precursor. So, what, he's putting some hemp in there? I mean, hemp-derived plastic, really?
Well, why don't I just invite him in and he can tell you?
Absolutely, I'd love to hear more about it.
I want to throw a question out there. Has anybody heard about any legalization of marijuana growing, possession, everything like that across Mexico yesterday or the day before?
Yeah.
Complete legalization?
Yeah, the Canadian Supreme Court. That's awesome. They're saying people have a fundamental right to cannabis. It sounds just like Germany, 1994, when they said we had a right. Well, how was it, Mark? Do you remember that? Do you remember the rule? Not you, Mark. You weren't around. Bubbleman, you remember when Germany had the ruling back in like 95 and it was a right to consume cannabis?
Everybody can grow it and possess it in Mexico now. Is that true?
No. The guys that brought the lawsuit, the only ones that are illegal are the pot club. So in Mexico, they actually do have a monopoly because they're the only ones that the lawsuit covers technically right now.
Okay.
Oh, irony.
Yeah. No, I remember the Germany thing because I was in Berlin, and it was not early 90s, mid 90s, like maybe 96 or 97 or 98, one of those 3 years. And I remember being in a pretty fancy restaurant, and my buddy being like, yeah, we'll ask if we can smoke when we're done. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean you're going to ask if we can smoke in this restaurant after we're done? And he literally asked the waiter. The waiter was like, yeah, it's no problem. And all we had was an apple, and we sat there and smoked an apple pipe with hash in this super fancy restaurant in Berlin while we had our desserts, and it blew my head off, dude, because my experiences in Germany up until that very moment had been very different. Like, don't fucking do that. Don't let people know you have that, and definitely, there's just so many cops in Germany, like, holy shit. Seems like a third of the population is the police or something. Fucking everywhere. And I would love to say that here in Jamaica, I've seen very, very, very little police presence. It's been very nice. I haven't felt paranoid one time, even with my rig. I take my pipe to restaurants and stuff and different places that I go to, and they usually let me plug it in, and I can just, I've only got a little bit of oil, and that's way less than a couple of ounces, so it's just been, pretty incredible. Like, I'm telling you, Jamaica was not always like this. It's a fairly safe for the tourist in the sense that you could always kind of pay the person off that's got you, but who the fuck wants to feel that kind of fear and be afraid, and especially when I'm certain that fear is one of the detrimental aspects of, like, that, cannabis is this miraculous companion plant that just gives us euphoric feelings and feeds us on a level of both essential amino acids and phytocannabinoids, like the whole healthy spectrum of what would really be considered a whole food for humans, right down to the euphoric feelings and write music and to do poetry and create other cognitive activities in life. It's just it's incredible that they would invert it, much the way Hitler did with the swastika, as it was a peace symbol for thousands of years. Like thousands of years. It was a peace symbol. This motherfucker took it and inverted it and made everyone totally fear and afraid of it. So it seems like they tried to do that with pot, cannabis prohibition, and the fear of getting caught with herb in a country that you're not familiar with, or even in your own country. It's just pretty much at the end of its life cycle. I can't really imagine that we're going to hear many more stories of people being arrested for this plant. I really would just like to hear a constant flow of people being let go, people's records being wiped, and you know, just empty these prisons, man. We probably could turn half the prisons into schools if we let the cannabis criminals out of jail. Cannabis criminals. That even just sounds like an oxymoron. Cannabis criminals? I like the way Todd put it a few churches ago. We're habitual florists.
Cannabis crusaders.
We are.
Terrible thought just crossed my mind. I'm like, Todd, oh my God, what if the government and big prison got into weed growing and took all the weed prisoners and put them to work on weed, but they couldn't have weed? That would be the last cruel stroke.
Yeah, that's just sick.
At the University of Mississippi, and they don't use prisoners, they use college kids to grow the weed that they give people like LV and Irvin, technically.
Bong rip, terp dip, bong rip. Let's go, boys.
Dude, did you guys see the video that DNA put up? I think it was Flying High, Adam's Instagram. He put up a video of Don opening up like a liter of terpenes at Tweed. Fucking hell, dude. That is the. I've only seen terpenes like that once in my life, and it was years ago in like 2001 or 2 in Lugano. I was at Shanti Baba's greenhouse, and he was partnered with Howard Marks at the time, still is, I believe, Mr. Nice, and it was he had liters of. He was just calling it the essences. People didn't really use the word terpenes too much back then. Even if you scour the internet, you know, like. Dave, Skunkman Sam was using those words, and Robert Clark and a few others, but you didn't really hear it as a standard. It wasn't written about too much in our books and stuff, and it's really kind of been more popularized. I'd say in the last 10 years or so, it seems that the work has gotten a lot more popularized, and more people are really kind of taking it serious, and it's pretty exciting. You know, we've got terpene profiles. I don't think it'll be long before we get terpene fractions. Pure terpenes, you know, take your profile and split it up, see what you got of each one. That'd be pretty good fun. Never gonna stop.
Thanks for sending me that right before I went to bed, and then my wife went to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm gonna play with my phone just for one split second, and I'm like, what did Bubbleman tag me in? And as soon as that jar opened, it was like getting kicked in the stomach, because it just took 1 second of motion of the surface for me to know exactly how much terps I was looking at. And I was just like, I gotta go to sleep. This is the worst. It's just too much.
It was a lot of terps. I remember Don telling me about it before I saw it, and he was like, yeah, they had like liters of terps, and just seeing it was like, yeah, they do. It looked almost like dry ice, like it was like wanting to smoke.
It was definitely a deep layer of terps, and it moved in slow motion, and it just had that, like, I know there's a trillion dabs I'm looking at once.
Well, you know what? I think one of the things Todd said earlier should be re-mentioned, and that is, people, your diets. What you're putting in your mouth. If you're growing the nicest, kindest organic nug, then for God's sakes, you know, eat some kind organic food. You know, put some essential amino acids in your body. I try to tell people every day to eat a little bit of, you know, hemp seed oil or hemp seed, dehulled seed, or as well, phytocannabinoids. You know, a spoonful or two every day. I can't believe how many old school dudes I know that are on the ball and know everything about the plant, and they don't eat cannabis. They don't orally consume cannabis. I have a friend here in Jamaica who's he has some liver problems. He was worried that he was going to need a liver transplant. I guess they have levels that you go down in your liver, and he was like level 4 or something, which is like, I think you go 1 or 2 more levels before they're like, your liver's failed and it's coming out. And he just started eating the oil here in Jamaica, And he's like, man, my liver's all fucking good. All my blood count and cells, everything is just like getting better. And it's not a miracle. It's simply the gas that runs these cars. Look into it,
When
people.
you say that, though, you're saying hemp seed oil, not cannabinoid oil.
Both. I think they're both essential. The phytocannabinoids are essential just to prevent disease and to saturate the endocannabinoid system. But also the essential amino acids are as essential. You know, they're super important. And I think because it's not maybe cool and it's not like all the kids are doing it, it's people don't do it. Like even people that know about it don't consume hemp. Blows my mind.
It's if they could dab their hemp seed oil, then they'd be all over it, dude. What's up? $1,000 rigs, nails.
You're right. You're right. And it's funny because as we're laughing about this, some kid who's like 15 is watching right now, and he's like, I'm going to create dabbable hemp seed oil.
Don't do it. Don't do it. The oil is not volatile. It's going to thermally decompose and create...
No, he'll think of something else. He'll come up with this other way where it's like, yeah, I sublimate it into a cryogenic mist, and then it's absorbed through the upper membranes of the nostrils. It's fine. There's tested in Mark Scialdone has tested this in the NMR, and he has seen it.
Yeah, I mean, so an organic chemist. So I took my organic chemistry semesters in the fall of 1982, and a special topics course later that year. So this would have been the spring of 1983. We took a special topics course in natural product chemistry, where I started learning about, for the first time, my exposure to terpenes and terpenoids. And we covered the work primarily of Otto Wallach, who won the Nobel Prize in 1910. 1910, okay? A German chemist from 1910 won the Nobel Prize. I mean, you think about it. 1910, shit, automobile was just barely invented, right? They didn't even have fucking phones back then. And this guy won the Nobel Prize for basically his work on terpene chemistry and discovering some of the molecules that you talk about all the time, like myrcene and linalool. That was primarily the work of Otto Wallach, which again was done in an old, German, university lab with very, very crude. They had no instrumentation. They didn't have the NMR. You talked about NMR. They didn't have NMR. NMR wasn't even, the phenomena wasn't even postulated until 30 or 40 years later. They didn't have spectroscopy. They had nothing. They used to actually run a reaction and then taste their product and see if it tastes different than the starting material to determine whether...
the bioassay.
Yeah, man. I mean, these
rub a little on the lips.
Fucking Germans back in the 1800s, man, did some terrific fucking chemistry, all flying blind with just understanding how the property of atoms and molecules work. It's quite fascinating stuff. So most chemists come in contact with terpenes, the word terpene and terpenoid, as part of their third semester of organic chemistry, where they start learning about natural products.
Right. Cool. I'm just checking to see if my friends are here. I had a feeling they would be showing up soon. I hope I don't cut out on you guys. It's just I've invited the people from Stepping High, so they should be coming through that gate in the next little bit here. Be nice to... Oh, so we've had a couple of parakeets visiting for the last week or so. These big-ass green and yellow parrots. Fucking big ones, too. They come and land on this tree right by my house, and it's man, do they squawk. It's quite nice to see them out in nature and not like all caged up with their wings clipped and shit. That's another thing, Horatio, like the caged bird syndrome, right? You're talking about how horrible would it be to be your herb taken away from you, jailed, and then forced to grow herb for Monsanto or whatever. It's just like this sick, twisted concept. Take a bird that can fly, this beautiful, majestic creature, and then clip its fucking wings and put it in a cage. It can fly. It can fly. You must not cage the bird. Welcome, Jeff Church, to Hash Church, Jamaica style. What's going on, brother? You're muted out. I can't hear you. What's going on here? Jeff. Does anyone hear Jeff?
Nope.
No, he doesn't look muted, but try again.
So my record so far is 5 people on 1 motorcycle. I saw that yesterday. Still can't hear Jeff, unfortunately. 5 people on 1 motorcycle is pretty impressive. I don't care where you live. So, oh yeah, there's a whole litter of puppies out here. I can hear them crying. What's up? All right, check it out, puppies. Puppies on Hash Church. Puppies on Hash Church.
Did that
Jamaican-
come with your
Jamaican
house?
puppies.
Yeah,
It's a
Jamaican
hash
puppy.
puppy.
Those are hash puppies. Those are hash puppies. It's not. That was not a lie.
Oh boy, I better write that song pretty quick.
Puppy. I like it. Well, we got almost 700 people watching Hash Church here from Jamaica, here on the cliffs in Negril. I wonder how close I could get you guys to the water before I cash out.
Hash
You guys
puppy.
will have hash puppies, yes. It's nice that you're writing songs about things that we talk about. That's awesome.
I'm writing weed music, hash music, man.
As you should, dude. As you should.
Yeah, my goal is to put so many tunes up to iTunes that they actually make it into a genre.
Well, you know what?
Will it be called like bluegrass, like 3-month cure, or what will the category be?
I don't know. I'm starting to write songs about strains. So I wrote a song called Chem Dog. I'm in the middle of writing a song about the sour diesel. There's so much material. I mean, I could just listen to Hash Church and write songs just because it's so fucking funny, and there's just so many funny characters and funny things to write about. It's a very, things write themselves. They really do.
Beautiful. Well, I'm having a dab, if anyone wants to join me. It's time for dabs, guys. Hash Church dabs, 59.
Bong rip? Bong rip?
I think so. I'm going to run a batch today. I bought about a pound of herb off my buddy the other day, the doctor. It would be great to have the doctor on Hash Church. I'm not sure. I think he's in the bush right now, but he is from many years ago, videos that I did here in Jamaica in the early 2000s. And for whatever reason, this guy just has great herb. He just puts the time and energy into it, and when I run his herb through the bag, it comes out impeccable, like very potent, a solid 70% THC and beautiful terpene profile. That's the real, I would love to get it tested and find out. I always thought that in the tropics, for whatever reason, that it would make sense that you'd get less terpenes because so many of them are cooking off in the heat of the sun. Like you can't. It's almost. Here's a question, Mark, because explain the science behind that.
Different. You just different terpenes because the temperature and the climate is basically a external condition that, again, you're putting a pressure on the natural selection process that's going to select for phenotypes that are able to express oils. If the evolutionary pressure to express the oils is for mostly pest control, right? It's most to keep other things.
That's the theory. I don't know if that's a fact, but it's definitely a theory. One thing I know is this: the smells that I smell here, there are similar smells. There's like orange and limonene and myrcene and all these different terpenes. I smell them in the hash and in the plants, but when I'm standing out in the field and I'm thinking, if I stand out here for, say, 6 more minutes, I'm going to get heat stroke and pass out because it's that fucking hot. And these plants live in that their entire fucking life. And then at the end of it, they produce like more terpenes. Now I'm guessing, based on the hash, I never actually extracted just the terpenes, but I would put a high percentage on the fact that if you did come here and do a big terpene extraction, that you would be somewhat surprised as to your yields compared to, what maybe you're doing back at home there, Horatio. wouldn't you think that you'd get some pretty nice terpene results?
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at a grower that will do the same strain over a year, I've seen the terpenes drop, and I realized there's external environmental factors that he has no control over, and he's not really the grower of the terpenes, but more the beneficiary of the fluke. But going back to what Mark said, it's absolute. Like, if those terpenes are even just slightly preventing mold, every year they're going to select for that plant and naturally always choose the survivors. So, like, what you're seeing are the plants that not only survive everything else, but are able to produce the types of terpenes that don't burn off, and they just live for the sport. It's like, it's always sea of green with the type of light they have there. So every plant is producing its ultimate expression in a very small, tight-packed bundle. I expect the kind of yields I see on.
I just wonder if the individual terpenes, like, do you really think that, like, you know, really caustic, volatile ones that evaporate off the earliest, you know, the lighter of the terpenoids? What is it? Monos are the lighter, and sesqua are the heavier ones, Mark?
The sesquas actually have a lower boiling point. There's
So, but which one's the lighter, as in it evaporates first?
I think the sesquas have lower boiling points than the monos. Right. And it has to do primarily with, even though they're a larger molecular weight, there's a crazy echo.
Yeah. I'll.
Okay. All right. Now there's no echo. So yeah, I think it has to do with surface area. Has a lot to do with how these things again volatilize. But the other thing is the molecular weight, and you'd think actually the sesquiterpenes, which have 5 more carbons, would be higher in boiling point. But it actually, I think caryophyllene oxide, humulene, and some of the other sesquiterps have actually lower boiling points, lower measured boiling points.
Yeah, if a plant grew a ton of green, it would just sit there. Like, it's way less likely to burn off with such a high boiling point. I don't know why I took a dab and then spoke. I got a cough. Excuse me.
Yeah, but the thing is I think what it is great than anything else is the plant is responding at the genetic level. Okay, there's a crazy echo. I hear it. Okay, there it goes away. All right, so the plant's responding at a genetic level, and so at the genetic level, what it's being stimulated to do is upregulate the expression of the enzymes like the prenyl transferases that are at the beginning of terpene biosynthesis. So you'll recognize that terpenes are essentially these 10 carbon molecules that are made from 2 isoprene units. Well, those isoprene units have to come from somewhere, and again, the enzymes that stitch these molecules together and put them together are essentially upregulated due to a environmental pressure that then the plant is responding in a certain way by overexpression of an enzyme under a certain environmental condition. The thing is, it's difficult. You can't always say it's this environmental condition and this trait in the plant are directly related. A lot of times there's secondary effects. So there's an environmental condition, something happens, and then the plant responds in a way that doesn't make sense to us. It's not intuitive to us. Why would the plant respond that way? Like in this case, why would the plants, say, in equatorial regions be very, very rich with terpenes when it's really, really hot? And again, we can't really always make an inference on primary interactions that this is the cause and now this is the response in the plant because of that cause. There's probably a lot of things in between. Here's the environmental thing, and here's what the plant ends up doing. There's probably like 2 or 3 steps in between there that we don't know, right? Does that make sense?
Yep, totally. I think of the night jasmine here. It's like such a volatile terpene. It's super valuable too, and it flowers at night, which is pretty much why it's preserved, because if that shit flowered in the day, like a big jasmine tree, it would just, well, it would just
Yeah, and the other thing is that you got to remember that insects, especially the insects that are responsible for pollination. We're echoing again. Okay, communicate through what are called organoleptic molecules, which are molecules that are volatile, like terpenes, that create essentially a communication or a language. And so certain insects will emit certain molecules and they'll respond to different molecules. And so, again, when you look at bees or you look at insects that are attracted to plants essentially as pollinators, there's chemical cues that they're honing in on, right? They go to these bushes, but they don't go to these other bushes. Well, that's because there's chemical signatures being given off from these plants that aren't being given off from those plants. So insects and a lot of environmental response and control in the environment has a lot to do with the molecules that are being that are part of the effluent of from green plants.
Thank you for sharing. I went from my chair to the hammock and then back into the room where the fan is. It's hot as fuck. That's all I'm going to say.
Everyone knows I'm in a legal state, so I have to step off. Nice. I'll be right back.
Step off camera and not smoke hash. He's just stepping off camera to not smoke hash right now for any of you law enforcement agencies watching from the illegal state that Mark may or may not reside in.
So he's basically not
No.
Okay.
So you would say say not bong rip.
No bong rip.
You got it.
That was.
Well, I hope a bunch of people are coming out for the event. I've slowly started seeing people arrive just in the last day or two, but it seems as though most of the people that I know that are coming come in the next 2 or 3 days. It's got to be a nice quick trip though if you're an American compared to flying to Amsterdam. I'll tell you. 10 hours, holy shit, that West Coast Amsterdam trip is rough. But we do it. And I'll do it again next year if they bring the cup back there and make it cool and the fucking Dutch government relaxes and isn't a bunch of pussies being all conservative and negative. I know, it's not feeling good, is it? It's the one weird thing about all of this cannabis prohibition falling. The Dutch are like, okay, everyone else is going to drop prohibition, we'll pick it up now. It's like, what?
It's too little too late.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, welcome back, Jeff. I don't know if your mic's working yet.
Is that working for you now?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. I had to switch to Safari. Weird.
Yeah, I find that Firefox is a no-go. Plus, John Berfelo got hacked through his Firefox, so if you're using Firefox right now, you should get rid of it. I'm pretty sure there's an exploit since August something where they can just go into your, they hack into your browser through Firefox and they get into your, where you keep all your passwords. So he was hacked brutally through that one folder.
Yeah, I was actually using Chrome. It was bizarre.
I have problems with Chrome for whatever reason sometimes. I'm just sticking with Safari. Firefox I deleted off of all my machines when I heard John got hacked, and then he was like, I think it was through my browser, and I did a bit of Google searching, and I was like, I found out, yes, indeed, an exploit was uncovered in like August of this year at the start of the month, and it was only a month later that he got it. So I think what people were doing was they were just stealing as many of those password folders as possible and then keeping them on sites that are like, you know, on the dark web or whatever, like hack sites that are private that you have to know the address to get into and whatnot. But you don't want your folders on that fucking website, let me tell you. All your passwords, holy shit. I have to admit, I went through my keychain and I just took them all out of there. I was like, fuck this. Come hack my paper that this shit is written on. We really got to be somewhat careful in this day and age with the way, you know, computers are and the way the way people can access information. Some people are like absolutely brilliant when it comes to the back end features of how these programs and sites work. It's kind of frightening when you're not. That'll be next episode.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk about something that I was pressing some. I think you got to mute first. Getting a big echo. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I was pressing out some flower rosin and had a bunch of specs in there. I was pressing without a screen, and so I had this stuff sitting off to the side for about a week before I re-screened it, put it into a screen and repressed it. And I had 21 grams that I had in there, and when I weighed the return afterwards, it was about 17.5 grams. And so all the rest of it actually was still in the screen, and so I was like, oh wow, what's going on here? And I found this white chalky substance, and I don't know if you guys can get a good picture. I've got it on my Instagram as well, so you can take a look at that photo there. But to me, it seems like it's THCA that has been filtered out, basically didn't melt in the re-sieving process. And I don't know, I have no science to back that up. I'd love science.
Does it melt?
It does, but it's a higher temperature that it's melting at, which is kind of
bubble?
bizarre.
Does it so will it melt and then make like a puddle and then start bubbling?
No, it doesn't really bubble afterwards. No, it's
Yeah, it's probably not an acid then, because you would see the decarb. It would fizz like a Coca-Cola. You'd actually see the bubbling.
Well, I only smoked it one time, so I'll have to go revisit it. But I was like, oh, this is kind of a bizarre thing. It wouldn't happen.
Water soluble?
I have not checked that out yet. So I've got
water soluble, and if it's not water soluble, then check to see if it's vegetable oil soluble.
I smoked a very small piece of it just to see what the flavor of it was, and it basically had no terpenes left in it. It was like really kind of a flat, kind of almost a flavorless sort of a smoke. It didn't taste like the lipids that I remove when I do dewaxing with ethanol, and what it tasted closest to was the same looking like product that I get from CO2. We'll have these kind of biscuits that come out of the CO2 extractor, and in the very center of the biscuit, you'll get something that's just white, chalky substance. And it gets you stoned, but it's not really, there's no flavor to it at all. So I've always kind of thought that was THC acid dropping out at a different time than all of the other constituents, and kind of fractionating that way.
You should it bubble though, right?
I shouldn't say that it didn't bubble, because I'm not 100% sure. It wasn't like some really terpy rosin, how that would bubble. Like that foams like crazy when there's a lot of terpenes in some rosin. So I would say that it was on the less, but yeah, sure. It probably did bubble somewhat when it was, yeah.
Jeff, one question I want to ask you, because now the ethanol waxes that you get from CO2 look the same as mine, but when I remember back when, especially when people started de-waxing, they would get these huge rock-hard whitish chunks of lipids. Now, that's what I was like, you're in a situation, could you get your hands on that BHO super chalk lipid and compare, because that melts. And it's not the same as smoking the lipids that we get, because I've smoked my lipids to see what that's like. But I remember like Brett Maverick's super chalk chunks, and if I look back, I'm like, yeah, that looks like THCA as well. But I know it as a super clean lipid pass. There was nothing in the lipids. It was like a perfect pass. So like, what could you get your hands on some of that and see if it's basically maybe both?
Well, so I've definitely looked at Brett Maverick's lipid fraction before. People don't do BHO here in Washington State except for 502 now, I guess. So yeah, I could probably find some that way, but it's not as easy to find nowadays because of the regulation. But yeah, Brett Maverick's lipids, I would say, had a little bit more cannabinoids left in them, but were very similar to what my CO2 lipids are that I get from dewaxing with ethanol. So he was doing single solvent dewaxing with butane, and getting a fairly similar, although I feel like more contaminated with those cannabinoids.
Well, is the talkie stuff that you're getting soluble in ethanol?
That's another great question. Actually, I have grabbed
questions. Come on, man. What the fuck?
Yeah. So I have from other. Not from the rosin stuff. So the rosin stuff, I have not dissolved that in ethanol yet. But the stuff that I find in my CO2 extractor, I have dissolved that. And it is dissolvable except for the lipids that happen to be with that, right? So there's definitely a dissolvable part and a little bit of wax or some sort of lipid that doesn't want to break down into that ethanol.
Is that at room temperature?
Yep.
Yeah, so if you ever see it dissolve at room temperature, do yourself a favor, just put that thing in the freezer and see what happens when you chill it too. Because what it may be is just beyond the crystallization concentration for that stuff to crash out, but as soon as it gets a little cold, it'll crash. That'd be interesting to see if that stuff is ethanol soluble, because again, ethanol shouldn't dissolve the fats, but ethanol is a great solvent for the acid and the decarboxylated material.
Yes. Yeah. So like I said, the similar material that's definitely contaminated. I mean, it's by no means am I trying to do any fractionation. It's just a part of the process, and I find it in the process. And so when I pull that out, it's a very, very similar product to what this rosin filtration, I guess. I'm not exactly. It's an isolate from the rosin via filtration. So I'm not really certain. I need to do some testing for sure. But so it goes back to what my thoughts have been for a long time, and that is that buttering of concentrates is the THC acid crystallizing. That's kind of what my theory is. I have nothing to really prove that, and I know that there's a lot of other actions that are happening there as well. But I feel that this is what has happened here, is the rosin buttered, and when I filtered it to get out the little bits of plant material that were left in there, I just filtered out this stuff that wouldn't melt at the low temperature that I was filtering.
I still haven't made rosin that's buttered out. I've been given plenty of rosin that's buttered out, but all my rosin, even the stuff that's sitting out here in Jamaica for the last week outside, it's stable. I can pick it up with my hands, it's taffy, it snaps, it's like, I'm certain that, there's definitely ways for it to not happen. It seems as though most people can't control it from happening. It's so strange. Why are you guys laughing so hard?
Oh, it's Todd.
Did I say something funny? What?
Ask Todd.
Ask Todd. Tell me, Todd. You're always willing to say everything. Did I say something bad?
Well, I've had Mark in my cell phone as you for a while, so every now and then I'll be messaging Bubbleman, but I actually sent Mark, and so Mark was like, you're asking me? Well, that was really the punchline, and it's not much.
Oh, good. I thought I was like someone was seeing me as saying something absurd and ridiculous. I was feeling a little insecure, guys. I'll be fine.
I'm laughing with you.
I have the whole house to myself. I just got a text from my family saying they're at the beach. That's awesome. Well, it's time to start the party here, everyone. Let's do this. Let's get this party started. 660 viewers out there in I don't know what land, cannabis land, I guess we could call it. The people that love the plant. A lot of people tuning in every Sunday. Did you guys see this mention on in the LA Times of Hash Church? Did you guys see that little drop? It's kind of random. Someone, I think they wrote some article about some dudes there. I just saw it in the Hash Church group. I see all sorts of things in the Hash Church group, which is a great time for me to mention. If you want to post pictures of your rosin, post it in Rosin Tech and share how you did it. If you want to share pictures of your hash, post it in the Water Extraction Hash Makers group or Team Dry Sift if it's Dry Sift. And Hash Church, it's not really the place to just post, you know, those like, oh, I'm going to see how many likes I can get on this one. It's like, do that in the group, share information. That'll be really useful. Hash Church, not so much. We want to... We'd love to hear about discussions that people want to have. I had quite a few people asking me about the Ohio thing again, but I don't know much about it. And I mean, other than seeing that it, what happened? Part of it went through and part of it didn't, or did it all not go through?
Well,
you want to take this, Todd?
I guess 2 passed, which was the anti-monopoly provision that was the Initiative 2, if you can hear that. And then 3 failed, but you know, there's been all these. Well,
all right, I have to go let my friend in so she can come tell you guys a little bit about her Stepping High Festival and whatnot. So if you guys don't mind just chatting for a few minutos, I'll be back.
Well, I guess we could talk about weed.
Do a bong rip.
I'm down with bong rips, man. yeah. But people are saying that the vote looks like it got tampered with in Ohio. People can Google it and see it, read it for themselves. But some of the polls that were closed showed it was a lot different than as it was going, and it's kind of weird.
I remember following the story, so it sounds like, I mean, at least from the other's perspective, it sounded good. Does the anti-monopoly thing do anything for anybody, or was it just to basically say anti-monopoly, but without 3, nothing happened? Like, basically, did nothing happen?
No, two actually. See, the reason, if I read this right, that the people that did 3 got the idea that they could get away with this shit was because a similar model for gambling was put forward that gave a small amount of people the ability to deal with gaming or something. Again, I'm sorry, I'm coughing and I'm not from Ohio. The truth is that whoa. I get that a lot of people were upset about a small group of people potentially having a market advantage, but you know, I can't stress enough that I think that that market advantage is going to be worth nothing when cannabis prices drop, because realistically, that's going to change the face of cannabis when cannabis is so cheap. This is cool. I can't wait to hear about this festival, actually.
3 chairs sort of out here. This one is quite dry. I'll put us in the shade.
Oh, good.
Well, there's no reason to. All right. All right, guys. You guys are being very quiet. Is that how you talk while I'm away?
We're all
We
on
were
mute.
talking
We're
about
all on
Oh, nice. You guys are respectful. So here, we're gonna get you guys in here a little bit more. Move your chairs in this. Yeah, just the table, and that way we can kind of. So we're here with Carlene, and Lyndon. Respect. And these guys run the Stepping High Festival here in Negril that Tony and I were lucky enough to judge last year, or this year, I guess it was. It was in March.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was good fun, and yeah, I just thought I'd have them come over there just down the street from me and maybe tell you guys in Hash Church a little bit about what's going on in Negril, and they're really of the perspective of the farmers, right?
Yes.
You guys represent farmers.
Yes.
All right, did you want to tell them a little bit?
Oh, hi, guys.
They're all muted, but they're waving.
Okay.
There's 655 people that are watching that can't talk to us, so we just have the panelists and just yeah, let everyone know out in the world what's going on with with Stepping High Festival and what's going on here in Negril since you know, the decriminalization of up to 2 ounces of cannabis.
On
Right,
behalf of the world
right.
of hash, hello.
What's that, Mark?
I just said on behalf of the world of hash,
Hello.
Hash crew, hello, yes, hi.
Yes, yes, wicked. So yeah, tell us what's going on in Negril here since the
Yes.
decriminalization of cannabis.
Well, we're still waiting to get, you know, some up-to-date details for this month as to what is going on, because for right now we're still just legal 5 plants per person.
Per person.
Yes.
And is there any limits on how big those plants can get?
No, there's no limit, actually, no limits on that, so that's a beautiful thing.
That is a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I guess now it's time to teach everyone how to veg their plants,
Yes.
to get them to be bigger, so when they go into flower, instead of yielding or reaping like a half a pound, you can reap like 5 or 10 pounds.
Yes, that's great. Imagine you have like a tree. I'm looking forward to seeing that because I've never witnessed that myself. I think Lyndon, in the past, he's been farming since he was a teenager, so he can tell you.
You've definitely seen the big sativas from back in the day.
Well, yeah, man. I saw those originals. We had experience with them.
Sure.
But not those 5-pounders or those 10-pounders.
No, yeah, those are like California and Austin. It's really about putting them in like a 400-gallon pot if you really want to reap like that kind of reward from it. So, when did you start growing?
Well, I was in it in the 80s, like 82, them ages, you know what I mean?
Nice. Always here in Westmoreland?
Yeah.
All right. So you know the land well, and you know how the herb grows here in this area.
Definitely, I know the behavior.
Yeah.
You know?
And so have you noticed that with the influx of strains from Afghanistan, strains that would not otherwise be exposed to mildews and molds, meaning if you grow them in Afghanistan, they don't have the mold there, so it grows well. But when you take them to places like this, they tend to be attacked by different mildews, powdery molds, and then also consumed by caterpillars and other bugs that are really quite aggressive.
Right.
Do you notice that some strains don't get bothered by the bugs as much, don't get the molds? And I mean, to me, as a grower, those would be the strains I would want to introduce.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, and try to call out all these other ones that everyone just seems to be planting at such an accelerated rate.
Right.
It's because it's an island too. The pollen, it can travel
Miles.
miles.
Yeah.
So I guess that's another thing as a Jamaican grower. There's really this intense information about learning, you know, where's the best place to grow a crop where you're not going to be affected by maybe your neighbor's pollen, because that's a bummer. Growing a beautiful crop, doing so much work and pulling all your males, and then having the guy next door be lazy and just be like,
Yeah, and you know, Orange Hill is actually in Negril. Basically, all the farmers are just close by. You know, winning Stepping High Farmer for last year. He's been winner for the 2 consecutive years, 2015, 2014 King Lawyer, and he grows in Orange Hill.
It was very nice herb, you know, like it was interesting because Tony and I tested through bioassay. We vaporized all the varieties as judges. And while we were doing that, the Steep Hill guys were using their new little machine that they had that's sort of like a reference machine that references, I think, names and profiles.
Yes.
And both the machine, as well as myself and Tony, chose the same strain out of, there must have been like 10 plus different strains, maybe 14, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it being quite a few, and thanks to Caleb from the Ital Steam Chalice, he was able to. I don't smoke herb. I just smoke.
Steam.
I steam and I do the extract. So the
Mark,
oils.
what does the machine do?
What's that, Mark?
What does the machine do?
You know, I don't understand it exactly. When I first saw it, I thought it was some like portable, GC or something, like a gas chromatograph, but apparently what it does is they've done so many GCs and tests that they've created, they've cataloged all these different profiles, and then they somehow take some type of a photo of the strain. I don't know if it's like a microscopic photo or what they it does some sort of simple process, and then those numbers or whatever it retrieves from that, you know, that little photo that it takes, and it's not exactly a photo, but it's some sort of it takes information from your sample.
It's a near
and then
ion spectrum.
It's a near ion spectrum. It compares it to all of the things that they have on reference. So it's a cool little machine. I mean, it's kind of like definitely not where it's not the end, but it's the beginning.
It's the beginning. But the good thing about it too is that it was prior to this time when they were introduced to the festival, we used to do it with the judges would just test it manually. And that was like smelling and, you know.
Yeah, bioassay.
Okay,
just
right.
testing on yourself, and there's something to be said for that, because the nose and the mouth and the head that it gives you is to me, that's I don't care what a machine says.
Right. It's a biosensor.
Yeah.
Interestingly, both concluded it was manually tested then and by the machine, and both came up with the same conclusion that
that was cool.
Priority to the yes.
That was very cool.
Right.
So yeah, it's you guys are having an event on the 10th and the 11th.
Actually, the 11th is really the date that we're looking forward to have, you know, because we have been in the bushes so far with the farmers over the years, because it's been 12 years now, and so these farmers, we're all coming together now, surface, and you know, would be a good chance for persons coming to this festival here to, you know, actually witness these farmers who has been along with us in the event so far. So
yeah,
you know,
so it's going to be good. On the 10th, it starts at 6 p.m. if you're down here in Negril. It's at the Hummingbird.
That's just a little past Rock House on the left
it's right
side.
over here.
Yeah,
super close.
Yeah, very close.
And that's just some Nyabingi drumming, which is going to be awesome. And then the next day, it's from like 8 a.m. on, and they're going to have a whole bunch of different, like a little marketplace.
It's a little marketplace, the farmers, and you know, because Septon High, we also have a farmers group, a farmers association, where we actually, you know, interacting and trying to put things together, and we actually been getting some of the institution here, like the Jamaica Agricultural Society, and you know, these people have been and it's not we've integrated them because ganja is still illegal.
Till they finish their policies.
Until they finish their policies. So we have these farmers coming in, not just as ganja farmers, but as agro, you know, and you are right, intercropping and things like that. So that's what the Farmers Association is about. And so these people are coming together, and also along with the. Sorry, did you say?
Oh, yeah, the question.
Have a question?
Is the government tax? Is the government tax the industry? Are
cutting out every 2 seconds. He's asking about taxes, and if the government's
are you paying taxes?
Yeah, will you pay taxes on cannabis here in Jamaica?
Oh, definitely. I'm sure.
Well, there'll be no shortage of taxes.
Yes, and so it will be good. It will be good also for the country, you know, because they'll be able to tax legitimate ganja industry. We're looking forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that Negril and all of Jamaica really could benefit in that sense, where you have, you know, you allow the recreational aspect of things, and so people can come and get their license to smoke and pay for that license when they land, maybe the same way they pay a head tax when they come in on a ship.
Definitely.
And, you know, the ability to also come here as someone who is sick, who really might be in a state that they're, you know, oh, I'm not able to, you know, access this oil or these phytocannabinoids in the concentration that I require them.
Right.
Imagine, you know, a beautiful health sort of retreat.
Yes.
That's like ITAL Foods, and no cell phones and great music, and and people aren't cursing and no meat eating, and sort of this sort of the Rasta way.
Yeah, integrating the culture and everything.
With all the medicine, like, and
medicine.
there's amazing medicine men. I met Gussie Clark the other day. He had his bag of medicines from the hills, and he was a friend of an old friend of mine, Bongo Roach, who was also another medicine man here in all around Jamaica, but he always did he used to come to Negril quite a bit. And hats off to those guys. I really hope it would work too. A lot of they've been saying it for 40 years, so it makes sense to me that when it all comes down and it starts happening, that they should be there to, to get their apology. Right?
Yes, to benefit from it. So that's why an integral part of the Stepping High Festival is highlighting the Rastafarians as well. Who have a lot of, they have gone through a lot of persecution. So definitely, and the culture itself, it's also it's really into development, and there's a whole lot that people can benefit overall. The culture is strong.
Absolutely. Well, it's people have their eyes on it for sure. I see like a lot of big companies focusing their attention on Jamaica. I just I hope that that the roots can hold on and not.
Yes. Well, we are looking to not just highlight it, but also to sustain it.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys are planning would it be the 13th annual Stepping High?
March 5.
March 5.
And 6.
So another opportunity to come to Jamaica if you guys missed the Cannabis Cup here, March 5th and 6th, which is before spring break, correct?
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Come before and then leave before it happens.
Right.
Because the spring break is kind of wild. But the Stepping High Festival, that was a real nice time.
Yes, and this gives you the authentic experience altogether,
Yep. You guys had great music playing too.
Yes, we always integrate the very good artists. We feature upcoming artists and also the most popular ones as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I noticed with the last festival. I mean, I was super performing. The Nomads are always a blast just to even hang out with, but to see them perform, they're really. Andrew Tosh was awesome.
Was there.
I heard Wayne spitting some lightning from afar. I was at my booth hitting bowls. I was like, "Is that the lightning? Is there lightning?" It was Wayne.
Yeah, China Simita, cool.
Yeah, all of those guys exactly. That's who was drumming when. Kiddis played. Was the end of the art
yes, and
drummers.
This new upcoming one getting very popular too, King Fragrance.
Okay.
Yes.
King Fragrance.
Yeah.
That's basically King Terpene. King Fragrance. We talk a lot about terpenes on Hash Church. It's often we get into the science. The one gentleman, has a PhD in chemistry, and he was the one asking questions. And then Horatio, another fellow here who's a Canadian but Jamaican, doing also great terpene work and extraction processes.
Lovely.
Yeah, he's got property here as well, so I'm sure one day we'll see him. And Todd is a longtime cannabis activist who's just been fighting for the plant since he was really like a young child. He used cannabis medically when he was very young and had cancer.
Oh,
so
interesting.
It's quite a group, a great group of guys. Jeff Church is in there as well. He's also like a longtime Bubble ambassador, a hash maker. I've known him, it's got to be 14 or 15 years now.
Yeah.
So we just kind of gather every Sunday, and it's really loose. There's no right or wrong. It's just we sort of discuss topics, and I like the fact that it's good exposure. There's almost 700 people watching us right now. And over the course of the next week, like 10 to 12,000 people should end up seeing it. So it's nice to give people a platform to have their message heard. So guaranteed, out of the 10,000 people, yes.
I have another question just to follow up.
I have another question just to follow up to the next question.
And so if the government starts putting money into the industry, it's a wonderful thing if that money comes back to the community, to enrich the community with schools.
Oh yeah, it has to happen, dude. It has to happen. Schools, education centers.
It's like a spigot of water. So I'm asking, what kind of things does the government help and the community that the industry exists? Is it helping you? Get irrigation to where you need to get it? Any assistance from the government at all?
Well, the licensing hasn't come through yet. So
none of those are in
right,
place
none of that are in place, and so we have in our meetings we have different persons coming in, and we're throwing it out that there's not much money in the system, so we're looking to have this integration and partnering with persons who will be willing to help us along the way in development, and to also help themselves to bringing in the equipments and things like that we are short of.
Which is definitely one of the things that our companies, CRD and UCAN, that was our plan from the get-go. We had an idea to come here and do a project, but not to grow ourselves. We would hire, or not hire, but partner up with farmers that have already been growing the great herbs, and then just help facilitate maybe getting them plants that are of a stronger genetic structure and that will really reap a nice 4 or 5 pound harvest off a tree, growing them up to a certain size so you don't have to, and they're all female, so you don't have to plant the seeds and do all that, because that ends up being a lot of work.
Right. The association is really looking forward to have that and to have all those workshops set up. We're looking to have that workshop set up at Stepping High Festival, and even before that, leading up to the festival. So we would love to have you guys,
Yeah, workshops are great. Anytime, people love getting educated and they love learning anything that they can learn. So.
Yes, that awareness going out, because the community is still not yet aware of what the business aspect is all about. So we're trying to get the farmers from that informal setting, integrating into the formal way of doing things. So we have to approach it in a sense, in a in an association, and have the association linked with different companies like your company.
Sure.
And
it's a tricky game, isn't it? Trying to pull us out where we've been all this time, and then it's like, okay, we want to just be normalized. We want to be mainstream. This is just normal. We're not criminals, but at the same time, then there's this whole division of that. We don't want to have anything to do with this system and that system, and it's like, but those are all normal systems. Those are the systems that are in place.
That's it.
So there's this real dichotomous energy that's happening, not just here in Jamaica, but everywhere that cannabis prohibition is happening, because unwittingly, certain people love prohibition.
Yes.
Because they can get a good dollar for their pound, because guess what? It's illegal and you'll go to jail if you get caught with it. But we have come to the conclusion that is a terrible profit margin to make.
Definitely.
The profit margin that puts your brother or your sister in prison is a shitty profit margin.
Yes.
And I think the profit margin that is, you're a great grower, you have great standards, you're processing great, and that produces a product that is now worth a certain thing, that's a good profit margin.
All right.
It represents the farmer and his processing.
Yes.
And that to me is the shift of where we're coming from.
Yes.
And where we're going to.
Yes. So in other words, we're putting it in a simple form, we want to really emphasize more on the truthfulness, and so benefit from that.
Absolutely.
And we feel more fulfilled doing that.
I haven't even offered you guys a hit from my chalice. Do you have any interest on hitting a little chalice?
I could hit it.
Yeah. You can?
I'll tell Carlin to go slow.
No, you know what? I give small ones. I'm not interested in harming people. Just a nice little taste, and then if some people are like, oh, give me it. Like a guy the other day at the Blue Hole in Orange Hill.
Yes.
He was very kind of like, I'm not having that. Because look at it, it's kind of like, what? And then when he finally had one, he literally took 10 more after that. Yeah, it was just like he couldn't get enough. But at first he was a little bit standoffish.
Yes,
so
right.
I'm going to go get my rosin, and you guys can ask these two any questions that you have. And otherwise, if they don't ask questions, just start telling them about what you guys are doing. Tell them about what's going on.
All right. You want to come over a little? Yeah.
Wait, Horatio has a question.
Sure. Hit it.
Go, Horatio.
Like when it comes to rural farming, you guys mentioned that right now 6 plants is legal, and in a lot of places in America, a lot of people are in that same situation where they just have 6 plants, but they've mastered those 6 plants as their most important thing to do. When it comes to like RADA, like the rural agricultural development in the bush country people, wouldn't they have a means to go out and just teach basic plant production under the guide, and people can take that and convert that to Granny can use that information for those 6 plants to pay for the school fees? Like, that's a right now everybody has dirt type thing, and the rural country seems to be more where that could change the face right now for them in a day. But RADA only comes and tries to tell people about pumpkins. Like, is there any sense of that? The one thing you do have to do before you speak, Bubbleman has to come back and push unmute.
It's soil, not dirt.
It depends where you are.
It's a dirty business, but we call it soil, man.
People come out, I'm a dirt farmer. Do you understand?
Yeah, worms live in the dirt, man.
Can somebody tell Bubbleman how to unmute you guys?
Yeah, he's still on mute, I think. And it's Mark's thing that's causing the weird echo. I don't think it's me.
You know, it is him, so that's why I had to mute to speak, but we got to unmute to hear. He's too far from the computer.
Yeah, she may not know how to unmute.
No, but that 6 plant thing is a big deal, and if people can get a couple of cheap fluorescent lights and a solar battery to keep things in veg.
Sorry, guys, we're unmuted now.
All right. Just in answering your question regarding the rural agricultural RADA, right? But still, what we find is that the farmers are the one who are ahead of the game. They have been out there for so long, so they are the ones. I don't think RADA, the fact that they haven't been in ganja farming before, I guess the farmers here would have to be trying to, sensitize them of that area too. So we're looking forward for them coming to give us some, whatever they have to give to us. But I think the farmers, more than anything, is ahead of them in that regard.
It's OG.
I understand. When you look at each person can hold 6. It sounds like it's time for community co-ops so that they can teach.
That's it.
If you don't have that's a lot of plants.
That's a lot of plants. Exactly. It's a 5 plants, to be exact. 5 plants. Yes. So if the whole household is 5, then you have 25
plants.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great. I mean, wow. And they just that's a standard law. You don't need any license. You're a Jamaican citizen. You're allowed to have your 5. Well, that's that's a great start.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like obviously, there's people that are going to be like, man, I eat 5 plants a day.
Yeah.
Because I met that guy in Kingston. He was like, 5 plants a day. He was a juicing guy, but he was just like, he kept getting up and saying, listen, we don't need any plant limits. But I understand if they're going to just kind of let it open the gates slowly kind of thing. I bet you a lot of those plants got planted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn, I would have planted those that day.
And the thing about it takes the time that it takes, because the seeds we have, 6 months is what we're kind of used to. It went down to 3 months. So let's see. That's one of the tricky.
From my perspective, it really seemed to slow down after Obama had a visit here, because it seemed like they were writing about it in the newspaper, and there was like a quote from Mark Golding, and then Anthony Hilton had a quote, and then the other minister had a quote, and everyone was talking about it like every week. And then all of a sudden there was a visit from Obama, and then I really didn't see too much talked about it after that.
Probably didn't want a slow country to go that fast.
Right? Yes, just slow down.
Because it was going fast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, people, you know, these things didn't happen any faster in a lot of states. Like Colorado, I think, took 18 months or something to write up their policies and get it all, you know, and I'm sure they're still changing it monthly, as Tony had mentioned. Yeah. But at least you guys have the rest of the world to be able to sort of pick and choose what parts of the policies you like and what you want. And I mean, Jamaica knows what it wants and doesn't want. True.
Yes.
I think that's kind of the hard part for most countries, but you guys don't have to worry about that.
No.
Like, we know what we want, and we definitely know what we don't want.
And we know what we have to.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yes, we have the beautiful sunshine, the rain.
Oh, my goodness. It's unbelievable. And that blue hole the other day, it's like a 30-foot drop into a cave that is like a electric green pool of beautiful water. And then when I was in the cave swimming around and I looked up, there were these little baskets with, well, there were fish inside, but there were hummingbirds hanging in little nests all around the cave. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. This is literally like a paradise. Just super amazing, really. I'm a big fan. Since 1995, I've been coming to Jamaica.
Yeah, we have this.
You guys do have it. It's definitely... I'm excited to see what High Times does next week, and if they can bring enough people to the island to make it a memorable event. I think they will. They have that power with their name.
That's right, and they've been out there for a long time, right?
Oh, they really started this whole cup thing in a sense. I mean, not really, because I'm sure there were cups in like Northern California and places like that, but they really like started the commercial aspect of cups where people are allowed to come and it's not some super private like, oh, who are you? No, you're not allowed. Because that was brave back in the day. Like, here, we'll just sell you a ticket and you can come to our Cannabis Cup. It's like,
right. I'm wondering if they had the same. They had to go through the same thing. If how they started, because I mean, when we were starting, we are just 12 years in comparison to them, but. Yeah. When we started, it was like, you know, out of a yard setting where we had a send-off party and people just met there. Some friends, visiting friends came to us and they were leaving. We sent a throw-off party for them and they decided, oh, I'm not going to Mexico next year, which they had planned to do. And they came back with their family and friends, and we threw another party again, and that's how it started. Simple, but it was always word of mouth, getting out there, you know.
Yeah,
we were unable to advertise anything.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's all really changing now for you guys in that sense that, you know, you, of course, back then you don't want to expose your growers and, like, bring the heat down on anyone.
No, not at all, not at all. We have always took full responsibility of you know, hosting our event, and thank God we're gone surpassed that now, and we're moving on along with those same farmers and community vibes that we have. We want to maintain that along with the friendships that we have developed over the years. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I definitely am hoping on making it back in March for the Stepping High Festival. That'll be one of the times that I'll be making my way back to Jamaica. Hopefully I'll make that trip, and hopefully a bunch of you guys will make it as well. I mean, geez, we got almost 650 people watching right now.
Okay, I would love to have them. We welcome. Where are you right now? Where are you guys right now?
Well, everywhere.
Located?
There's a chat I don't have open, but if I did, all of these people are in it. And right now, when you just said where are you guys all located, now they're writing where they're all located. And it's like Atlanta, Texas, Edmonton,
outside Philadelphia,
Brazil, Argentina.
Outside Philadelphia.
Outside Philadelphia.
Oh, Okay.
I think we got a San Francisco in the house. Jeff's in like, are you working, Jeff? Or Washington? No, Jeff's in Washington. In Seattle. And then my buddy
Lovely.
Darrin, who's on the far left, he is in the north, in the cold north of Prince George, BC. What's up, big guy?
I got my long johns on.
Yeah, I see that.
Yes, he's got his long johns on.
All right, I mean.
And drinking some warm drink, yeah.
We're actually overdressed, but you know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
My grandson's name is Lyndon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, his grandson.
Yes,
That's right.
Oh,
Lyndon.
all right.
That's how I can make it.
Let's do a bong rip.
Yeah.
Let's do a bong rip.
Let's do a bong rip. I'm having a piece of watermelon. I can't wait any longer. It's super cold from the fridge, too.
Mark, you gotta ban somebody. You gotta ban somebody.
Who do I have to ban?
Jeff the drunk. Jeff the drunk.
Oh, no.
Jeff the drunk needs to be.
Is Jeff the drunk being bad in chat?
He said some very.
All right, give me a chance here. I'll get my other computer. I'll try to get rid of Jeff the drunk. Why do
Internet.
people
Tough guy.
This doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever.
Let's get high.
No, they're telling me that in the chat, there's a chat room. This Google chat is streaming live through YouTube.
Whoa.
And in YouTube, there's 644 people.
Right.
Most of them are all great people, and they're talking and inspired, and it would have been nice. My internet's very slow, so this is the reason why I haven't had this open the whole time.
Yes.
And I doubt that it's really going to open for me, but I'll give it a shot. Hey, it did open for me. That's amazing.
Oh, lovely.
So this will be us, like maybe 15 or 20 or 30 seconds ago. I'll leave it running. Actually, no, it'll just take longer.
Oh man!
What's going on?
I've seen Jeff the drunk comment. Don't want to look at him.
Let's not give him a voice. Let's not even give him any hash church time at all. I'm going in to say goodbye to Jeff. Don't worry. Jeff the drunk is
That dude's gonna be singing the hash blues.
We don't hang out with that. That's not happening. Yeah, so that's it. He's gone.
Disgusting.
Trolls get banned. Sorry, guys.
And pretty soon he will be out of hat.
So yeah, these are all the people saying hi and talking to us. We can now that we can see the chat a little bit. I can. We look like some 50-year-old. Don't give him any time, you guys. Let's move on. Jeff the drunk. We're hanging out with Lyndon the grower.
Yes.
Greetings from Amsterdam.
Mm.
Hash family. We could make some rosin with Jeff.
I'm
The hash
gonna bring and my girls.
Later, Jeff. Colin Skunkman. Hello. Some hacker go mess his shit up. He is no good.
A whole gang of family.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know, I thought today I wouldn't have to go into the chat, and I thought, you know what, it'll be fine. I don't have to go into the chat. But it's like people just look to come and stir emotions, and what I say is don't feed that
energy.
Yeah, it's like the demons. You
Yeah,
feed the demons,
right,
and then all of a sudden you're like,
right.
you're mad yourself. And
Yeah.
you start calling him negative names, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Greetings from
That's
Romania.
okay.
What's up from
Yeah.
Florida?
Mhm.
Humboldt, Ontario. West Smyrna Beach. Weekend. I go to a big dab.
Westmoreland. Yeah, somebody from Westmoreland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, vegan recipe up. Burma Beach, harvest season, Alberta, Michigan, Las Vegas. Wow, we got a whole crew. Everyone echoing back through your mic, man. Everyone's echoing through my mic? Well, I'll make sure that when you guys talk, I'll make sure that I mute my microphone. Sorry about that. It's hard to pay attention to too many things.
Finland?
Yeah. Oregon, Denmark, London, Montreal, Earth. Nice. Worldwide live, Kabaka. Wow, someone's from Earth right now in Hash Church. Earth.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask some questions about growing in Jamaica?
Please ask a question. Yes, I'll mute my mic.
How much has the strains changed since the 80s when you started growing and now?
One sec. Say that again.
Yeah, it changed a lot. Yeah, we've experienced a lot of different strains. I couldn't tell you in numbers how many, but a lot.
What it looked like then from those days to now.
Yeah, like you see more of that narrow leaf sort of sativa look, taller plants, and now it's a lot of short. It seems like it's a lot of sort of Dutch seed, sort of you know, those sort of fast flowering indicas that so many people brought here. I guess when would you say that really started happening? In the late 80s, early 90s?
In the late 80s.
Late 80s,
yeah,
eh?
man. Yeah, man.
Do you feel like they're trying to wrong Jamaica?
What's that, Todd?
Do you, as a grower that started off with strains before the Dutch invasion, feel like they're trying to grow the wrong ganja in a tropical area, Jamaica?
Yeah. Their idea was, you know, to like decrease detection with the narcotics activity, you know. So they were trying to grow shorter plants, you know. So that was the idea.
Prohibition based.
Yeah, shorter plants and shorter in shorter time.
In a shorter time too.
Yeah.
You know?
The classic, how much can I get and how fast can I get it?
Right.
Can I ask you, how soon do you put out your plants? How do you deal with equatorial flowering and growing cycle?
Yeah, like what's your? He's wondering like how do you put your plants out? Like because here in this close to the equator, the plants flower right away. So do you plant by seed? Do you produce female plants and take cuttings of those?
Okay. Back in the 80s when we had those sativa plants, when they used to grow like 13 feet, 12 feet, 10 feet. Yeah, we used to do those cloning then. You know what I mean? But now we just use seeds, basically. You know?
Plant fresh seeds each crop and cull the males.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
I got a follow-up question. How, like, in all these other aspects where you could say Jamaica gets diluted by external influence, now that everyone's looking at Jamaica to export its history and it's basically its gem outward, how much of our history has been lost because of that influence, like everything else, like telling them don't grow your native vegetables, grow this plant, grow potato, and those vegetables aren't right for the soil or for the amount of water you have, like that type of behavior. How much damage is it done to, you could say, our natural heritage?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, you know, these other modified plants, they need certain procedures, you know, which aren't necessarily natural. You know what I mean? They're not ital, you know, and so they become, you know, harmful to your biological self, you know. So, you know what I mean, going in that direction, I think can lead to hurting ourselves biologically, you know. So that's some of the effects that are not favorable.
Right. Mark, I have a question I'd like to. Can you guys comment on what's going on? You know, obviously in the United States and elsewhere, there's a big movement towards concentrates and extracts, and you know, I know there's traditional hash from older, you know, more traditional hash making. Is there some of these more modern methods of extraction coming to the island?
Definitely, yeah. like the coal extract. You know what I mean? Using the ice, the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's here. You know.
I came in 2001 and showed many a farmer in Orange Hill. Starting with Ziggy, actually.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, yeah. That was all. That's 15 years going now. But
Yeah.
and I've also seen people making like oil with closed loop systems here, Mark. And there's pretty much, I would say, CO2 is here. You know,
Yeah,
cold water CO2. Definitely rosin's going to be here if it's not already. I've got
Yes,
the press on the way, so
Yes.
we'll be
there
squeezing
you
out
go.
some rosin. It's I mean, it's a raw product here, Mark. You know, and there can be so much of it. And right now, Jamaica grows a fair amount of herb, but like hidden in the most recessive properties that you can't even imagine how hard it is to get to. It's not accessible. It's not easy, and that makes it at least 10 times harder on the farmer than it needs to be.
Yes.
At least 10 times.
The effort. So you can imagine applying that same effort.
Listen, when my friend
More
told
as
me that he planted a peanut field as his cover, so if he was caught near his grow, he could take them to his peanut field. I was like, so your cover is growing an entire field of peanuts, planting it, harvesting it, the whole 9 yards? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh man, that's like another farmer's job. You have like another farmer's job just to cover the job you're doing. And then of course his grow's on top of a mountain, so everything he climbed, his buckets, everything he had to bring up on his head while he climbed this mountain. And I was just like, this is a ridiculous amount of effort to be able to grow herb. Like, it really goes to show you how much we love herb. We are not messing around with the herb, I'll tell you. When I heard the Sufis in the 14th century got brought into the square in Cairo and had their teeth ripped out with pliers because they were hashish eaters, and then I heard later on that they continued to eat hashish, I thought, wow, like that is a serious connection to a substance. To think like, yeah, you can rip my teeth out, no problem. And I'm definitely going to be like, now my teeth hurt, I gotta smoke herb and eat herb and rub the oil on my teeth and on my teethless gums.
Yeah.
My goodness. It's the power of the herbs.
Right, the love for it.
And I love that the culture here, you know, whether it's been through Rasta culture, through the farming culture, and really through the music. You know, this music that seems to, people are like, why is it so prevalent? Why does it get so far? It's like, well, because it's spiritual music. It's literally like, it's spiritual music.
It synchronizes with the ganja, you know?
Not all of it, don't get me wrong. Like some of that Vibes Cartel and some of that stuff
that's different.
It's different. But this
different.
whole
Cultural music, we call it.
This whole Jah Over Evil crew that came out of Lick of Joe passing away from Gideon and Sila, his two brothers, and Hemper Sativa, and then all the, you know, Chronics and Kabaka Pyramid and John 9 and all these really great artists that are just spreading an incredible message. This is the new group of artists. Obviously, it's been happening for 40 plus years. It's a good wave, though. I have to say, as a roots man myself, I'm not big into the dance hall. I like a little bit of it, you know, but mostly I love the roots, and I find them all to be great artists.
Yeah. Well, it's sending a positive message, and that's what we really need. You know? Some of these lyrics in the dance hall, violence music, really, they're just not, you know, those are not music that we really would endorse.
Well, when I first met Chronics in 2012, he played at the Tony Rebel Salute concert in Ochi. And I met him, and we interviewed him. We met most of the artists and interviewed them all. I was working with a music company at the time. And I asked him a few questions, and I sort of said, you know, like, how do you know, what are things that affect your lyrical writings? And he said that he never wanted to write anything that he didn't want to see youth singing in the streets. And I just thought, that's a pretty profound thing for like a 19-year-old kid to say. Because he was really, like, how old is he now? Like 22 or 23? Like, he's still pretty young, right?
Yeah, he's not.
He was like
25.
He was 18 or 19 years old. He was very, very young for him to say something like that. And I thought, man, the guy's got great lyrics. he's definitely still saying some razor sharp things.
Yes.
You know, in his song Capture Land, No Hold Barred, he's like putting it all out there. You know that tune?
Yeah.
It's a tough tune.
Yeah.
Tell you.
Yes.
Chronics. For all of you guys that don't know, you should Google that shit right away. Capture Land. It is really good. Really good. And now, oh, don't forget about Yellow Man. We're never going to forget about Yellow Man. Are you kidding me? King Yellow Man?
King Yellow Man.
Come on. He played like, there's a sign down the street, but it's like 3 months old or something. June 28th, King Yellow Man. I'm like, dude, you can take that sign down now. I keep getting excited every time I drive by it. King Yellow Man? I'm actually not I'm not a huge King Yellow Man fan, but the first time I came to Jamaica when I was married we married here in '95, we saw King Yellow Man.
I'm sure he was on the West End too, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, well, who knows where it's at.
Yellow Man has been on for a while.
Oh my goodness.
Still up.
Still, I know. Holy smokes. And he's been like, you know, he's had some things. He's had some tribulation. And he's always gets past it.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't he have some crazy jaw cancer?
Yes.
Holy shit.
He's very strong, you know.
He is
and
strong.
He's very optimistic, and that's what I admire most about him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he's a total character. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a character.
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes. It's awesome. All right, here we go. Boom. Blowing smoke signals to the Vatican.
Yes,
We'll break down that wall eventually.
All right. So this is what we all have in common, right?
Yes, we all love the herbs.
Yep.
We all love the herbs. It's
From creation to man.
That's it. You know, it's
Yeah.
we talked
One
about
love.
we talk about it every week, really, but we talk about a lot of things on how really incredible the plant is and its overall ability to clothe us and feed us, keep us healthy, be our medicine, be our inspiration, lift our spirits,
Yeah.
inspire us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Space traveling.
Yeah, space traveling. Exactly. You don't need a spaceship.
No.
Just a steam chalice
Yes, awesome crystal.
and the right medicine. So that's good. Very good. We got a crew here still. Tony left us. What are we saying in chat here? Oh, Mark's playing a song?
I can play some Jamaican music.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Lovely.
Should I?
Yeah.
Why not?
Is it echoey now?
No, but I'll mute my mic just in case.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Sitting here in limbo, waiting for the tide to turn. Sitting here in limbo, waiting for the tide to run. Well, they're putting up resistance, but I know my faith will lead me on. Sitting here in limbo, waiting for the time to roll. Sitting here in limbo, got some time to search my soul. Well, they're putting up resistance, but I know my faith will lead me on. I don't know what life will show me, but I know what I see. I can't say where life will lead me, but know where I've been, tried my hands in love and friendship, but all that is past and gone. This little boy is moving on, sitting here in limbo, waiting for the tide to roll. Sitting here in limbo, got some time to search my soul. Well, they're putting up resistance, but I know my fate will lead me on. There you go.
Hey, right on, brother. Thanks for the tune.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
We enjoy
I-
that.
Yes,
Yeah,
Good
man.
at the guitar
waiting
too,
for
eh?
the time to
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
waiting
did it
for
come?
the time.
How did it come? One and all. One and all.
It's awesome. It's always nice to hear some music for sure. And what a beautiful view we have.
come.
Beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
To be.
Gotta
Yeah, to
remind
be-
other
gotta
folks that there's other people than Bob Marley that brought music from the rest of the world, including Jimmy Cliff, the great and wonderful Jimmy Cliff, who's a national treasure.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Cliff is. He got it out there for sure. He definitely got his message. I would go more roots personally. I would like drop, say, Israel Vibration when Apple was still with them. That was some serious stuff right there. Apple, Skelly, and Wiss all together. Apple left, and then it was kind of like, oh, still good. That high-pitched voice that he had. Man, super good. Israel Vibrations with Apple.
Yeah.
Google that. Get some YouTube on that. Maybe Red Eyes or Thank You, Ja. It's a great song that they do. Thank you, Ja, for what you've done for me. So nice.
I would love to hear their favorite cultural artists. Or,
Favorite cultural artists, reggae artists? Okay, let's ask the chat room.
yeah.
She wants to hear from you guys. She wants to hear who are your favorite artists. You know, if you were to show up in March at the Stepping High Festival, who would you like to see up on the stage? Culture. Yeah, Culture. Joseph Culture, R.I. Rip. R.I.P. Joseph. Joseph was...
yes, Joseph's son was at one of the festivals.
Yep.
About 3 years ago.
Yeah, more than
Yeah.
5 years.
About 5 years.
Okay.
Time goes by so quick.
Yeah, we lost a good friend in Amsterdam this year, Michael Rich, and he was a good friend with Joseph Culture.
Yeah.
And so Joseph was actually in Amsterdam at his house the night before he passed away. He was feeling a little sick, and then I guess they drove through to Germany, and he passed on in Berlin, I believe. Sizzla Kalungi, Gladiators, Kidasai, Kabaka Pyramid, Richie Spice, Burning Spear, Ziggy, Mikey Dread, Damian Marley, Ziggy Marley, Buju Banton, I think he's in prison.
Oh, yes.
Jacob Miller, Peter Tosh, come on guys, really? You want to see their, Burning Spear. Good old Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winston Rodney.
Yeah, we were inviting him, but it seems like he'll be here.
Oh no? What about
Yeah.
Prophecy? You should get Prophecy. Prophecy wrote an amazing song called Puff and Pass, and the hook on it and the beat on it,
Yeah.
I'll play it for you guys afterwards. It is so good. Really, quite a talented artist
What were
there.
you saying about Scratch?
No, I'm just saying.
Reading?
Somebody said Scratch, so I was
Toots.
looking at it and say Scratch was
Rural
at
band.
last.
Toots is unable to perform.
Really?
Yeah, he has a court case with that bottle in his head thing.
Oh no. No way, that person that threw the bottle?
Mm.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Thanks, person that threw the bottle at Toots.
Yeah.
Could you have thrown that bottle at a nicer person? Honestly,
Yeah.
like, what are you thinking? Like, that's
What?
just insane.
And listen to his music. I mean,
No, but even just whatever, even stop him on the side of the road after he sings, and he'll stop and share his time with you. Like, that guy is super nice.
Yeah, man.
You know, he might not pound you out. He might go wireless.
Yeah,
Wireless. Yeah, he does
If
the
it wasn't
wireless.
If it wasn't for that, he would have performed, you know, for us.
Yeah, he would
Yeah,
definitely.
man.
He's a good
He
friend of
can't do
ours.
anything.
He's amazing. He's quite one of my longtime old favorite. Like, that's the kind of music. If you have kids, you put Toots and the
Yeah,
Maytals on.
Yeah.
Your little baby will just start dancing, and yeah, it's just such a good, wholesome music. And then it's just like you go to see his concert, and it's like his family.
Yeah.
He's got like his daughter up there, and he's got family members that perform with him. So
He's not one of those artists that, you know, present himself as if he's the star. No. He's very humble.
yeah, he does have maybe the most powerful voice in reggae.
He does.
Like when he's like holding the mic this far away from his mouth and he's singing, and it's like,
Yes,
damn,
man.
that's pretty loud. Like it's
man.
gonna get real loud when he puts that mic up and gives it the. Ah! It's like holy
High
smokes.
frequency.
Yeah, they're still saying night artists. Midnight from Saint Croix.
Midnight. Yeah.
Saint Croix. How about
Yep.
how about with
Midnight,
Midnight? Then
yeah.
we throw in Desiree too. Desiree with
Desiree.
Midnight. That's
Lovely.
fire.
Big combination.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of their albums. It's Desiree with Midnight, and they do the track Fire.
Yeah.
It's so like
We invited Midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're looking forward to having
We're
Midnight.
communicating.
Preston, is that their manager's name?
Yes.
Preston, yeah.
We're communicating.
Cool, right on. Those are good guys. Those would be great guys to have. They also have a real like mystical, magical. Like when you watch them perform, you're like, are you serious?
Celestial.
Celestial Spacemen.
Yeah, if you're ever lucky enough to just happen upon a midnight concert, don't miss that. Jesse Royal. Now that is what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah,
Jesse Royal's new song, Gimme Lickle.
Jesse was supposed to be performing last year when they, thought it was canceled. Yeah, so he didn't show.
What about this year?
We're gonna go for it.
Yeah. You guys will have a great lineup, I'm sure, regardless of who comes. It's Jamaica, so you can't have all the great artists. There's like 10,000 of them. It's like you just gotta pick.
Yeah, we just have to pick.
You gotta pick.
Yeah.
Gotta pick. I like definitely the old school, like having Kid S.I., having some like Pablo Moses. Just so the youth doesn't forget.
Yes. Indeed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are like the Landrace strains.
Yeah, although we're looking forward to have the youths, more youths coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well, you did a great job last year. Who did you guys have? You had Nomads. What other? You had Andrew.
Yeah. Bushman.
Bushman.
Yeah.
Iwayne. Yeah, those are all like fire artists.
Yeah. We had Inamiyad, China Smith.
Yep, that was great. That was some of my favorite.
Yeah. Andrew Tosh.
Absolutely.
Fragrance, King Fragrance, Charlo.
Charlo.
Visaya.
That's community.
Yep. Fragrance was there last year, right?
Yeah.
I saw him.
Yeah, you must have some.
He's the one that says only police and
Rasta.
Yeah,
free there.
In Jamaica, we're looking at really.
Oh, that's quite a statement, eh? Only police and Rasta. What a tough thing for the police to sort of just swallow it up and go, oh, we were wrong. That sucks.
But at least
we mightn't see that, but then
that won't hurt them.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. Not as much as it hurt us when they were smashing us over the heads for smoking spliffs.
All right.
But look at it. Most of these police that they grew up in household where their parents depended on the income from ganja.
Sure, they know the reality of it.
They know the reality of it, So when they're doing it, sometimes I'm sure it hurts a lot.
Absolutely. Well, we've been talking so much we lost half our room. We've been having fun though.
Okay.
Not a problem there, that's for sure. Thanks for hanging out, Mark and Horatio, with us.
All right.
We're the only ones
left. Play us out?
We're the only ones left.
You gonna play us out, Mark? Play us a Hash Church song on the way out?
Yeah. I'd rather play Jamaica.
Well, Jamaica-fy it. Thank you guys for coming out and hanging out.
Echo.
Echo.
Oh, here, let me mute my mic.
They tell me of a pot up in the sky, waiting for me when I die. The day that you're born to when you die, they never seem to even hear you cry. Sure as the sun will shine, I'm gonna get my share of what's mine. And then the harder they come, harder they fall, one and all. You know the harder they come, harder they fall, one and all. The oppressors have tried to take me down. They have tried to drag me underground. Just one thing, they got the battle won. I said, forgive them, Lord, they know not what they've done. But as sure as the sun will shine, I'm gonna get my share of what's mine. Well, then the harder they come, harder they fall, one and all on Hash Church. You know the harder they come, harder they fall, one and all on Hash Church. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Thanks, Mark. That was awesome.
That was beautiful.
I'm gonna take a bong rip on our way out, and these guys can say anything that they want to say last minute for to the Hash Church crew. I guess really invite them to Jamaica. Just need to get down here.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you. It's very beautiful. Right now it's a little windy, right?
It's perfect.
Windy and
I love it.
yeah, the sun is out and see we're right by the ocean. You know, we have 7 miles stretch. The festival Stepping High is going to be right along the 7-mile stretch of white sand beach.
Cayenne?
Cayenne, right? It's right along that strip.
Yeah, it's nice and close. What mile point would you say on the beach it is? At like 2 or something?
Well, it's close to the T Waters for who has been to Jamaica before. And, well, it's like walking distance from the center of Negril town.
Cool.
Which is no tall building, nothing taller than a palm tree.
And when you're going in and you see the truck sitting there full of the policemen, you don't have to hide your shit.
Don't worry.
Keep it out. Have a spliff going.
Go in.
It'll be fine.
He probably puff it while he's not in front of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming out.
I really appreciate
sharing
sharing with you too, the Hash family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it was good to finally meet you guys. I mean, I should have met you last year, but or not last year.
Yeah,
but
well, during
earlier
the festival,
this year.
it was,
busy.
Yeah.
Well, we met now. We're hanging out, and if you guys want to hang out with all of us, come to the Royal Hummingbird on the Cliffs on the 11th, anytime after 8 a.m. We'll be going till late, I think 10 p.m. or something.
Yeah, it depends. We can go later than that. Depends on the vibes and you know, how everything
It's
is
an
going,
all day
but
long
it's all
thing.
day on the 11th, all day. That's on the Wednesday.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you get to meet some of the farmers and, you know, get first-hand thing, the spiritual vibes.
I'll film a Puff Wednesday.
Yeah.
We'll do a Puff Wednesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
That whole
lovely.
day we'll just film and make a cool Puff Wednesday. So
Yeah.
that's just the inspiration of right now. I want to thank everyone on the panel that has left, and of course thank you Horatio, Delbert, and Mark Scialdone for hanging out and being the solid Hash Church rocks that you guys are.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks to Lyndon. Thank you guys for coming out, and super good to have you on Hash
Yeah,
Church.
man.
Right on.
Always looking forward.
Peace, everybody.